Hi, welcome to EPG Pathshala Spanish. I am Rajiv Saxena and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. We are in the paper entitled Intermediate Spanish. We are going to be dealing with the grammatical aspects of Intermediate Spanish grammar. We are in the module entitled Practical Spanish 3. In the previous modules, we have covered topics like diminutives and argumentatives, direct and indirect speech, common errors in Spanish, relative pronouns, impersonal sentences, etc. In this chapter, we will focus again on the usage of these topics in Spanish language written and spoken form. We will be considering various short stories and examples in order to understand these topics better. We will have some exercises later on in the chapter. This chapter is also entitled Repaso or Revision. We will be revising some important aspects of all the things that we have done in the previous modules. So, let us start with diminutives. Diminutives are widely used in Spanish to add a note of smallness or endearment to the noun. In English, we sometimes alter words to indicate smallness or show our affection. So, these are known as diminutive, and we typically do it by adding a y or something similar to the end of the word. For example, dog becomes doggy, cute becomes cutie, dear becomes dearie, etc. in English, and doggy, cutie and dearie are the diminutive words in English. Diminutives are used much more frequently in Spanish than in English. Different regions have their own unique ways of creating diminutives, but the most common one is a form of ito. To create a diminutive, just drop the o or the a from just about any noun and add ito or ita, depending upon whether it is masculine or feminine. Add sito or sita to words not ending in o or a. The suffix ucho or ucha conveys the idea of ugliness. La casa, house. La casucha, hovel. El cuarto, room. El cartucho, small, miserable room. So, the ucha conveys the idea of ugliness. La casa, la casucha, hovel. El cuarto, el cuartucho, small, miserable room. Words with a diminutive suffix may take on an independent meaning. El zapato, shoe. La zapatilla means slipper. La mano, hand. La mancilla becomes hand of a watch or a clock. La bolsa, which is a bag. El bolsillo becomes a pocket. Bolsillo. The nouns of two syllables whose first syllable has ie or ue and end up in o or a, drop the o or a and add acito or acita to form the diminutive. The same is true of one syllable nouns ending in a consonant. So, for example, we have la piedra, stone. La piedrecita, little stone. La piedra, la piedrecita. Most of the times, we use it to indicate something that is small or perhaps unimportant. Tiene una casita maravillosa. He or she has a marvelous little house. Tiene una casita maravillosa. Or another example would be estudio en una escuelita. I study in a small school. Estudio en una escuelita. We aren't limited to nouns. We can also use diminutives to strengthen certain adverbs. Lo necesito ahorita. I need it right now. Lo necesito ahorita. Or está cerquita. It's really close by. Está cerquita. It's really close by. So, by using diminutives, we are strengthening the adverbs like ahorita, cerquita. Lo necesito ahorita, which means it is underlying the urgency of it. I need it right now. Está cerquita. You're underlying the closeness of the object in question. Augmentatives can be added to nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and names to indicate bigness, as well as other ideas such as excessiveness, contempt, or disdain. In this way, you can say that something is big without adding an adjective like grande to indicate bigness or repugnante to indicate contempt. Augmentatives also change according to the gender and number of the word that they modify, like any other noun. Common Spanish augmentatives in masculine are on, aso, ote, acho. In the feminine, they are ona, asa, ota, or acha. So, the augmentatives which are changing according to gender and number of the word that they are modifying, and the Spanish augmentatives in masculine are on, aso, ote, or acho. In the feminine are ona, asa, ota, or acha. The words that end in a suffix in a consonant take on the whole suffix, like mujer, woman, mujerona, big strapping woman. I repeat, the words that end in a consonant take on the whole suffix. Mujer, which is a woman, becomes mujerona, a big strapping woman. When the word to be modified ends with a vowel is dropped before the ending. Like for example, hombre, man, becomes hombron, big strapping man. Hombre, man, becomes hombron, big strapping man. The suffix aso can be applied somewhat freely to nouns to indicate a blow or strike. Words formed in this way are always masculine. Just like diminutives, the addition of an augmentative suffix sometimes creates an independent word. Soltero, which is unmarried, becomes el solterón, old bachelor, or la solterona, old spinster. So, we move on to the next section of the repaso, where we are going to be talking about the indirect speech or the reported speech. The indirect speech is the way the speaker changes the way the words were expressed by the person. Direct speech is Amar le dijo a Suresh, he estado comiendo con unos amigos. Amar said to Suresh, I have been eating with some friends. So, the reported speech or the indirect speech would be Amar le dijo a Suresh que él había comido con algunos amigos. When a present reporting verb is used, for example, dice, the tense does not change. Direct speech. Mire, le dice a Juan, no me gusta el barrio en que vives. Mira says to Juan, I do not like the neighborhood you live in. Mira le dice a Juan, no me gusta el barrio en el que vives. So, the reported speech would be, Mira le dice a Juan que a ella no le gusta el barrio en el que él vive. Mira says to John that she does not like the neighborhood in which he lives in. So, when we are talking about the direct speech or the indirect speech, The simple present would be dijo, aprobó el examen. The past imperfect would be dijo que aprobaba el examen. The imperative would be dijo aprueba el examen. The subjunctive would be dijo que apruebes el examen. The simple future would be dijo aprobarás el examen. The conditional of the same sentence would be dijo que aprobarías el examen. The future perfect of the same sentence would be dijo habrás aprobado el examen. The conditional perfect would be dijo que habrías aprobado el examen. And the preterite simple past would be dijo aprobé el examen. The past perfect of the same sentence would be dijo que había aprobado el examen. The past perfect dijo he aprobado el examen. Past perfect dijo que había aprobado el examen. Presente subjuntivo would be dijo ojalá aprueba el examen. The past subjunctive dijo que ojalá aprobará el examen. The present perfect subjunctive dijo ojalá haya aprobado el examen. The past perfect subjunctive dijo que ojalá hubiera aprobado el examen. So we see that Spanish is such a rich language that you can afford to communicate many things by the choice of the tense and the choice of the verb conjugation that you are using. We will take the example of future tense. The future tense changes to the conditional. The conditional doesn't change. In reporting something that is still true, the first verb of the verb sequence, that is, after the reporting verb, does not have to be changed. But the tense is always changed when there is a difference between what was said and what was actually happening. So, words like aquí, ahora, mañana, and so on need to be changed if the person reporting it is in a different place at a period of time after the reported sentence was originally said. So, some of the common changes are direct speech, reported speech. Aquí, acá. In reported speech, it will become allí and allá. Esta mañana, tarde, noche. In the reported speech would become esa, aquella mañana, tarde or noche. So it's very clear that in the reported speech, the sentence changes from esta mañana, tarde, noche to esa or aquella mañana, tarde or noche. In hoy, we use ese or aquel día. Mañana, we use al día siguiente. For ayer, we use el día antes or el día anterior. For el lunes que viene, we use al lunes siguiente. And for la semana que viene, we use a la semana siguiente. So, I repeat once more that for words like hoy, we use ese or aquel día. For mañana, we use al día siguiente. For ayer, we use el día antes or el día anterior. El lunes que viene, we use al lunes siguiente. For la semana que viene, we use a la semana siguiente. Also, for el or la que viene siguiente, we use al or a la siguiente. For hace un año, we use hacía un año. For hace tiempo, we use hacía tiempo. For words like este, esta, esto, we use ese, aquel, eso, aquello. For esa, aquella, we use eso, aquello. For estos, estas, and esas, we use esos, aquellos, and aquellas. Now we move on to another set of rules which is talking about demonstratives, which can also be used to change to definite articles in reported speech. Possessives and object pronouns depend on the person or the persons talking about it in the narration. When the person reporting it is in a different place, the verb venir can change to ir and the verb traer can change to levar. So, when the person reporting is in a different place, the verb venir can change to ir and the verb traer can change to levar. Traer and even venir needn't change when the reporting person is mentally situated in the place reported. So, traen and venir do not need to change when the reporting person is mentally situated in the place which he has reported. All the previous rules must be applied to independent sentences. This means that words like que, cuando, mientras, si, and so on and so forth indicate the beginning of another sentence, except que in the verb form of tener que. I repeat, all the rules which have been previously taught must be applied to independent sentences. So, words like que, cuando, mientras, si, and so on indicate the beginning of another sentence, except que in the verbs like tener que. Now, let us talk about the common errors or the falsos amigos, which we had talked about in the previous module. So, the first one that we are going to be talking about of the falsos amigos is the first person singular subject pronouns do not take capital letters. For example, he said, I love you would be translated as dijo yo te amo. So, yo of the singular subject pronoun does not take the capital. It is yo te amo, dijo yo te amo. Secondly, the days of the week, months of the year, etc. are always in small letters. Monday, Tuesday is lunes, martes, miércoles. Or months, January, February, March, enero, febrero, marzo. Enero is with small, febrero with small, and marzo with small. In titles also, we only capitalize the first word and proper names if any. For example, el general en su laberinto. So only el, the E would be in capital. For languages also, Spanish, Russian, English, it is always in small. Espanol, Ruso, Inglés, etc. For nationalities also, I'll say I am Indian, soy indio with a small I. Indio with a small I. In religions also, the name of most religions, their adjectives and their adherents, proper nouns are not capitalized in Spanish. The only exception is Islam, el Islam. So, we all move on to the next set of falsos amigos, which are words which occur in English and sound very similar to the Spanish one but do not mean the same in Spanish. For example, actual versus actual. Actual means current or present. El presidente actual vive en Madrid. The current president lives in Madrid. Actualmente means currently, at present or now. Actual means verdadero or efectivo. Another example which causes a lot of confusion is arena versus arena. Arena means sand in Spanish and arena in Spanish is used as anfiteatro, redondel or plaza. Another set of words that create problems is complexion versus complexion. Complexion refers to one's constitution, makeup, temperament or physical build. Complexion is la tez, el cutis o la piel. Another set of verbs which create problems is discutir versus discuss. Discutir is stronger than discuss, more like debate or argue. Discuss is hablar de, tratar de, comentar, etc. Educación versus education. Educación has a broader meaning in Spanish for education. The Spanish world's best translation is upbringing, which includes both school education as well as what a child learns at home. So your upbringing is what is included in educación, what we call as sanskar. Education is best translated by formación or enseñanza. Another major problem that is faced is with the verbs embarazada versus embarrassed. Embarazada means pregnant. It can also be a noun, una embarazada, a pregnant woman, an expectant mother. Embarrassed in Spanish is avergonzado, molesto, or incómodo. So, if you are embarrassed, in Spanish you are to use avergonzado, molesto, or incómodo. Estoy avergonzado, estoy molesto, estoy incómodo. Embarazada only a woman can use for the time when she is pregnant. Estoy embarazada. Familiar versus familiar. Familiar is an adjective which means family, familiar, domestic, informal, plain, or colloquial. As a noun, it refers to a relative or a close friend. Familiar is only an adjective which in Spanish would be expressed as familiar, conocido, común, familiarizado, íntimo, etc. Another set that causes a lot of confusion and problems is patron versus patron. Patron indicates a boss or owner as well as a pattern or standard. Patron is patronizador or cliente in Spanish. So, we also now move on to another set of verbs which is conocer and saber. Conocer means to know someone or to be familiar with someone, something or somewhere. It can only be followed by a direct object, never by an infinitive or a subordinate clause. Remember that if the direct object is a person, the preposition a must be used. The use of the word quedar can also be very confusing and can be difficult to use and understand. One of the most common uses of quedar is to arrange to meet. It is used when we plan to meet people. Quedar also means to come to an agreement. This is normally used when two people discuss something and then come to an agreement. So, if you just want to ask someone, do you agree? You would say, ¿Estás de acuerdo? Quedar can also mean to have left and also to have left over. There is no tea left, no quédate. Now we move on to another set of rules that we had dealt with in the module where we had discussed about the relative pronouns. Relative pronouns may refer to people, things, actions, events, or ideas. However, the correct pronoun should be selected carefully to convey the proper message. Let us have a look at the relative pronouns que and quien in the sentences that we are going to be talking about right now. El bolígrafo que está en la mesa es rojo. The pen that is on the table is red. El bolígrafo que está en la mesa es rojo. Or another example which I would like to talk about is el médico, ¿quién va a recibir el premio está aquí? El médico, ¿quién va a recibir el premio está aquí. The doctor, who is going to receive the prize, is here. The most common relative pronoun in Spanish, especially in day-to-day communication, is que, the equivalent of that. The antecedent of que is never omitted in Spanish. We use que in a relative clause that refers to people, animals, things, ideas, or events in the singular and plural, where it functions as the subject of a clause. In the following example, que, referring back to el guía, functions as the subject of the verb llevó in the relative or dependent clause. Este es el guía que lo llevó al museo. This is the guide who took him to the museum. Este es el guía que lo llevó al museo. So, que is referring back to the el guía and functions as the subject of the verb llevó in the relative or the dependent clause. So, to conclude, I would like to say that we have done a revision of diminutives and augmentatives, direct and indirect speech, common errors in Spanish, relative pronouns, impersonal sentences, but we know that practice makes a man perfect. So, now that we have repeated these explanations to you, please do more exercises that follow in the self-assessment to learn how to use them. And once learnt, these usages have a wide application in the Spanish language and you can communicate much better in Spanish. Muchas gracias.